Okay, this is the example from lesson 5 about the museum and the zoo field trips that we had trouble with in class. So we're going to do this a little bit differently from the way the book does it. The book does it using just X for the unknown, and we're going to use 2 letters and have 2 equations and 2 unknowns to make it, I think it makes more sense this way. So a class of 29 students sponsored 2 field trips, one to a zoo, one to a museum. Every student attended at least one of the field trips, and 10 students attended both. If twice as many students went to the zoo as went to the museum, how many students went to the zoo? All right, so we're still going to use the Venn diagram to show that we have really 3 distinct groups of people. We have the people who just went to the museum. I'll make this the museum circle, and I'll make this the zoo circle. So the people in this spot here just went to the museum. So just museum. And then we have the people who did both in here, and that, according to the problem, is just 10 people. So we've got a group of 10 people here who did both. And then we have the people over here who just went to the zoo. Now I'm going to call the people who just went to the museum M people. And then the number that went to the zoo, just the zoo, I'm going to call Z people. Okay, so I can write a couple of different equations with M and Z based on this problem. It says that 29 students are involved here. So that means that M plus 10 plus Z is 29. So M plus 10 plus Z is 29 students, because the kids who just went to the museum plus the 10 who did both plus the kids who just went to the zoo is 29. Okay, then they give me some information about the kids who went to the museum and the kids who went to the zoo. It says if twice as many students went to the zoo as went to the museum. All right, that tells me that the number of kids who went to the zoo, all right, so that is Z plus the other 10 kids who went to both. This is how many total kids went to the zoo that day. That's supposed to be twice the number that went to the museum. And the number that went to the museum is M plus 10. It's the number of kids who just went to the museum plus the 10 who went to both. So now I just have 2 equations and 2 unknowns, and I can solve this using elimination. So I'm going to rewrite the second equation. We'll just get these arranged. So the second equation, I'll go ahead and distribute that 2. So I'll have 2m plus 20. And then I'll subtract 2m on both sides, and I'll subtract 10 on both sides so I can get it to look like this. Okay, so that's the second equation. And then the first equation from the top, I'll just bring down here, and I'll get the z and the m arranged where I want them to be. I'll put the z here and the m here, and then I'll subtract a 10, and I'll have 19 on the right side. Okay, so these are my 2 equations and 2 unknowns. Now I can do elimination. Subtract, and the z's will go away. So negative 2m minus m, negative 3m equals 10 minus 19 is negative 9. So m equals 3. That tells me that 3 kids just went to the museum. But that's not really what this question is asking for. It's asking for how many students went to the zoo. So the first thing I got to do is figure out what z is. So if m is 3, I can see right here that z must be 16, sorry. So z plus m is supposed to be 19 right here. So if m is 3, z is 16. So z is 16. So the total number of kids who went to the zoo is that 16 plus the 10 who went to both. So that's 26. So I think that whole problem is just a little bit, makes a little more sense if you just use 2 unknowns and you deal with the 3 separate sets of people and just work it like that. So that's all there is to it.